Unpopular opinions.
Do we have unpopular opinions?
Probably. Hello everyone, welcome back to Foster the Meeple, a channel all about
board games
and
unpopular opinions. That's
right. Let's talk about that a little bit today, shall we? Because here's the thing. It was like, sometimes we don't agree with people on stuff.
Yep.
And I just felt like getting a little saucy.
Let's do it.
A little spicy.
I can't wait for the spicy comments.
Spicy. So I have created a little bit of an unpopular opinions game question tag. Maybe we'll tag a few people to do it because I want everybody else to get spicy, okay?
Yeah.
Do you know what? Summertime's coming. Let's bring the heat.
Let's do it. Nice. I didn't think you were going to say that. That was so much better than what I had in my head.
What did you think?
I thought you were going to say, let's get spicy, which was like, meh.
Okay, so basically, I just have a list of questions that Jeff and I are going to go to. This is chill. We're just discussing.
Let's do it.
Maybe our opinions aren't unpopular. Who cares? Doesn't matter. But the first question is, what is a popular game that you didn't like?
Who's answering first?
Doesn't matter.
Crew.
The Crew is a great answer. So many people love The Crew. And do you know who doesn't love The Crew? This crew right here.
It's not enjoyable.
It's not.
I know, like, every time I play The Crew, I'm like, I love trick-taking games. I love trick-taking games. And I'm playing The Crew, and I'm like, oh, okay, we can't talk about the game. We can talk about everything else, but we can't talk about the game. Cool.
Yeah.
Fun. Let's just sit here and not talk about the game.
That sounds like a really fun time.
I don't want to do that.
Me neither.
I don't find the missions are overly enjoyable.
No.
I've never had a good experience playing this game. I would rather just play the multitude of better trick-taking games that exist that are way more fun than this. And you might be like, well, I like that, like, hidden, not talking co-op-iness. Well,
That's
then
great for you.
Go play Tranquility then.
Go play Tranquility.
It's so much better.
It is so much better. Another one for me in particular is obviously Agricola. Okay, people be loving that game, and I just think it's bleh, sucks. But Spirit Island is another one that comes to mind.
Spirit Island, I'm not sure about. I want
know.
to go back.
That's what I was going to say.
Provide the context of Spirit Island.
So Spirit Island is a game that we played pretty early on in our gaming career. And we never, ever, not even one time, had fun playing it.
No.
We found it to be, and people are constantly commenting like, it's not that hard. Well, it was for us, okay? We never won. We just kept getting overrun by the spirits or whatever it is that's overrunning you. And we were like, I'm having 0% fun. And we played it with not just us, we played it with other people, and nobody ever had fun. And so this early on in our career, you guys know we don't get rid of games. We got rid of that game.
We had that in the, was it like Bear and Claw expansion?
Yep.
I don't know.
We're like, maybe this will help.
A lot of people like come back and they're like, well, you need to know how all of the god powers, like, or spirit powers interact with each other and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I'm good.
It's fine. Yeah. But we do want to try it again now that we are experienced.
We now have the Horizons,
that's
version,
right.
Which I think is supposed to be a bit lighter.
Yeah, it's like the Target version.
But yeah, Spirit Island just never clicked. I don't know, I just never had a good time with it.
No. Next question is, a popular game that everyone else seems to hate, but you love.
Ooh, this is tougher.
So, a game that comes to mind for us is Hocus Pocus.
Yeah, people really don't like Hocus Pocus.
I don't get it. I think it's super fun.
Really hard.
It's hard.
But that's what I don't understand. People like
Spirit Island.
Yeah, Spirit Island's also very hard. Like, there's a ton of co-op games that are really hard. I don't know, maybe it's because it's Hocus Pocus and people thought it would be like light and breezy.
And easy.
And it's not.
We went into that game being like, nobody likes this, but, you know, it was a Disney game, so we obviously had to try it. And then, like, I remember there being a point in that game where we just, like, looked at each other being like, this is really good.
I really liked it.
We really liked it. Okay, next up, a popular game theme that you hardly reach for. I think I know one. Negotiation.
That's not a theme, though. It's a mechanism.
Oh, I know one for me that's going to be totally different.
Yeah, space for you.
Space.
Yeah.
Space
for sure.
is such a popular theme, and it's everywhere, and I'm like, I don't care. The only space game recently that I've really been into is Galactic Cruise, but that's because it's more of like a cruise and like a vacation than anything.
That's a tough. Yeah.
Is there a specific theme for you? Are you anti-nature?
Yeah, nature's probably one for me.
You're just over it, eh?
There's so many nature games now, like just too many, and some I very much enjoy, and some I've enjoyed recently, like Harmonies being one. So, but I just think in general, nature games, I'm just like, yep, all right, there's another nature themed game that there's 100 of now. Like,
oh, generic fantasy.
For you?
For me,
I'm just generic
over
fantasy.
it. Like,
there's a lot though. Yeah,
there's just so much, and there's so many games that come out that I'm just like, ugh, good, another orc. That's not Lord of the Rings.
It's tough though because like there's only so many themes and stuff you can come up with.
No, like there's so many things that haven't been done. Like
what? Think of one right now that hasn't been done.
There's no games about macaroni and cheese.
I'm sure in one of those Kitchen Rush-esque games, there's a mac and cheese.
There's no games about Lil Baby.
That's our specific cat.
There should be a game about her, is what I'm trying to say. A popular game that you have no interest in playing. Twilight Imperium.
That might be there for me, too.
I just like, everyone's like, well, you have to play it at least once, but I'm like, it's generic fantasy in space. Neither of those things I'm interested in.
Sidereal Confluence is probably one for me.
Yeah.
That big negotiation type, nah.
Yeah. It's just like if it's going to take so many hours to play, anything, like I already said this, which wasn't a theme, but negotiation, I really don't like it. And so any game, because I think there's negotiation in Twilight Imperium and that one that you just said, that I can't, Sidereal Confluence.
I can't include Twilight Imperium because I think if I was with the right people and they asked to play, I'd be into it.
Yeah.
Same as like Eclipse. But
I don't want to play that.
Sidereal Confluence, like I just don't think I ever want to sit down and play that. Like I remember being at a convention and there was like 8 or 9 people that sat down to play that. And it was like 3 hours later and they were still going and I was just like, and they were like negotiating back and I was like, I'm good.
Yeah. Catan. A timeless classic or overhyped?
Timeless classic for me.
Overhyped for me.
I played a ton of Catan in university. Like,
Catan.
I used to play on an app, I think, constantly. I like Catan. I'd still play it now. I got no issue with it. I like Catan.
I never liked it.
Tomato.
Well, maybe that's part of the unpopular. Is it Catan or Catan? Yeah. I say Catan. Jeff says Catan.
Sure.
Card games versus board games. I'm going card games.
I think I'm going card games too.
I feel like that's maybe an unpopular opinion. Because there's just something very comforting about a card game.
Yeah, it goes back to my nostalgia, for sure.
You could travel with them. You could, the possibilities are endless. The things you could do with cards these days.
I think also simple card games tend to give people a better experience, like group experience.
Yeah.
What is something we're big on.
Yeah.
You know, the people around the table, the experience around the table is big for us. And card games do that better, in my opinion.
Yes, and like the limited setup and takedown, and typically like rule sets are generally like easier because you got to fit the little rule book in the box. And it's just like, if I want to relax, I'm picking a card game over a board game. How do you feel about board game expansions?
Indifferent. Some are for me, some are not. We are also in a position where, you know, we have a lot of games, so expansions are tough to just get to in general.
Yep.
But I think for your favorite games, they make sense.
What about, like, when it's on Kickstarter and it's like, well, we already have, like, 3 expansions. Do you want to buy those too? That's what gets me, because I have done that numerous times. I'm like, well, I got to get everything. Yeah. Like, Endless Winter is a great example.
But is that an expansion problem or a crowdfunding problem?
But I think, the problem I guess what it is that we, like, 98% of the time never, ever, ever will use the expansion. Like, we
Depends,
have
though.
expansions
Like,
for so many games.
I use the expansions all the time.
That would be in that 2% of the time.
I think that if the expansions add more game and can be integrated into your experience moving forward, then I'm more inclined to include and incorporate the expansion.
Yeah.
When the expansion is like some pseudo exception, where it's like it changes all of these things and it just like the game's completely different, and it's like sometimes you choose to use it or not, I'm less inclined to do that.
Yeah. I'm just very like, they get me every time though, because I want to have everything, because I'm a completionist. Games you think need house rules? Sleeping Gods.
Sleeping Gods,
for a
sure.
2-player.
Sleeping Gods is the first one that comes to mind.
Yeah.
Any of those bigger campaign games, I think a lot of the time I'm just kind of like, let's just...
We definitely host ruled Gloomhaven a lot.
Yeah, let's just not worry about this. But again, I know that there's people that are very rules sticklers and that are going to be driven nuts by that. But that's fine. That's your experience and you can do what you want. It's just not how we experience board games. And you might be like, why?
Yeah.
Our issue with Sleeping Gods is the management of all of the things you have to do take away from an incredible narrative experience. And I'm just like, reduce down this game.
Just reduce it.
Like, just don't be as punishing, like flipping those cards and it's constant like, oh, we're dead and then we got to go repair. It's just like, I'm not even getting to explore the world. It's probably why when I play like adventure video games, I play on like the easy mode because I just want to experience the story. So
yeah, I feel like there's another one that we did house rules for, but it was another like big game that we were like, this doesn't matter.
Yeah.
We don't need to think about it. But yeah, typically for like larger games, campaign games, because we play at 2 players and things just don't always work as well at 2 players.
Yeah, a lot of the time too, like you failed this scenario, you have to do it all over again. And I'm like,
maybe this dice.
I don't want it. Vagrant Song, I think would be another one.
We did house rule when we played 2 players.
My only issue with Vagrant Song is the targeting structure that exists and how the Haints target things is too convoluted.
So we're just like whoever.
It's an amazing game. Same as Sleeping Gods. Both amazing games.
Yeah.
That I think benefit from just dumbing down some of the nuance of it. Just so you can experience the game more without getting caught up in all of these little rule sets that ultimately, in my opinion, don't add anything.
Yeah.
To the experience.
Cult of the New. Good or bad?
Neither. Like, experience games how you want. If you want to play nothing but new, play nothing but new. If you want to play nothing but old, play nothing but old. But don't
gatekeep.
Don't tell people how to experience the hobby. Oh, this is going to be a rant for me because this is a passion project. I don't understand why other people need to get in other people's business. It's ridiculous. If people want to experience new games and that's all they care about, let them do it. It has zero impact on you. If you want to experience games from prior to 2015 and that's your experience, great, do it. Just don't tell the other people that they're doing it wrong and vice versa. Who cares? We're adults playing with toys. None of this matters.
None of it matters. I think I'm definitely of the same. Like, if I had to pick now between new games and old games, I lean more towards older games. But that's just because there's so many that we haven't discovered yet. But we love new games too. We just like to play games. And I've heard a few times and a few comments where people are like, oh, well, if you only play board games one time and you're only playing the new games, then you're not really a gamer. Or we used to do that series where, like, the BGG, have we played it? And we'd be like, well, we haven't played this. And people are like, oh, you call yourself a gamer and you've never played this game?
That kind of attitude in every aspect of this hobby needs to go away. My experience with this hobby is not your experience, and I don't give a crap how you experience it.
Yeah.
We, as a species, need to get better at staying out of other people's business. In many, 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 many ways. Who cares? We get one experience in this world, let us do it the way we want to, as long as we're not hurting other people.
Yeah, I think a lot of the argument for Cult of the New is that it creates a lot of FOMO, which I think people can get FOMO from pretty much anything.
That's again, that's a personal problem.
Yeah.
And you need to deal with it personally. And one more thing I'll say. Similarly, if you collect games and you have, like us, hundreds of them, don't let those people poo-poo on you and be like, you shouldn't have all of those games. You're never gonna play all of those games. You should be culling your games. No, we shouldn't. It's none of your business. We like to collect, and that's our business. And if you like to collect, have at it, my friend, because you get to do whatever you want in this hobby, and whatever everyone else says is none of their business.
That was spicy.
I just want to quickly also say, there was another caveat
Get into it, Jeff.
There's another caveat I had to that.
We do what we want.
Just quickly, for all of you out there listening, this tendency to force people to cull games, this weird obsession with culling games. If you want to cull games, I'm not judging you.
Cool.
Call away. One of my best friends calls all of his games.
Yeah.
I give him a hard time about it in jest.
Sure.
But that's his experience. That's his experience with the hobby. What's weird to me is you're not going to book people and being like, you have 300 books, you're never going to read all of those. Why are board gamers so obsessed with us only having like 10 games?
Yeah.
Who cares?
Your collection's your own thing.
Who cares, people? Don't yuck people's yums, man.
Yeah.
Just let them live.
We get that a lot because obviously we do a lot of haul videos and stuff, and we just love games and we love to collect, and this is a passion for us, and it makes me happy to see them.
Seeing games on the shelf brings us joy.
Yeah.
And how dare you sit there and comment and tell me I shouldn't get the joy of those games sitting on my shelf.
Yeah.
I'm not pooping in your yard.
Yeah,
Calm
that
down,
would
people.
be weird if you
Just
did
let
that.
people do their thing.
Yeah.
Be kind.
Yeah.
That's all we need.
That's all we need. All right, next one.
Thank you for asking that question.
You're welcome. The next one is kind of like falls into that. Is there an overemphasis on complexity in modern board game design? I do sometimes think that there are additional things get added into board games to make them more complicated than they need to be. And we see this most frequently in combat.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, why can't it just be if you're within X, you fight and not? But like, I've noticed it with like so many like new, obviously we play test and do a lot of stuff with new games coming out, and I'm just like, if there's combat, I almost dread it because I know people want to try and be different, right? And that's great because you want to make games that are different, but combat, just let it be straightforward.
Combat, please. Agreed. My other thing is movement. Like, there's so many games I've played where they have these complex, nuanced rule sets for just movement. And I'm like, this isn't adding it. Like, it isn't adding anything to the game.
It's an achievement, I think, sometimes for people to be like, I made or whatever, I played this game and it's really heavy and it's really complex, but it's just like, those aren't necessarily the games. Now, for some people, it definitely is, but for us, we're obviously can only speak for us. We like to play games that like the rule set makes sense and what you're doing just makes sense, and it's not like 10 steps. We played a game, and we're not going to say what game it is, but we played a game this year where every phase of a game had like 12 steps. And immediately, like, we couldn't even get through the whole game. I was like, I don't want to do this. It's just too much. And it's not enjoyable. Are there any beloved board game components that you think are overrated or unnecessary? Jeff and I will differ here.
I'm getting to the point with miniatures.
That's where I was going to go.
I actually think
it's too much.
There's too much of them. I want to caveat that with, I do enjoy painting minis.
I think that's why you might think it's too much.
I've gotten to the point with minis that, like, if you're not painting them, I don't really know what
they add.
You're like, I think, sure, having a couple games with minis is great, but like, games are coming out now that just don't need them. Like, that don't, and that's where I'm like, and this is tied into, I think, bloated crowdfunding campaigns and that sort of thing with like thousands of minis. I saw one recently with that I'm not going to name, but like literally thousands of minis and I'm just like,
it's overwhelming.
what are people going to do with all of these? You know, and as I've refined my tastes, because again, like full transparency, when I first got in this hobby, I was minis, give me minis.
Then the painting queue got too long.
And then the painting queue got too long, and then I started playing war games that are primarily cubes and tokens. I'm like, oh, like, you know, I can play these amazing games, and it's just cubes and tokens. But minis really played into my love of fantasy worlds, and it brought that to the tabletop. You know, I could see it, I could feel it, and it looked cool. But as I've grown, I think the miniature bloat is a real thing right now.
I like acrylic standees. I've been really into the way that those look over minis, just because they're just simpler and they don't take up too much space.
And some of them have really nice art prints on them, and yeah.
Are there any board game genres or themes that you want to see more of? I want to see more horror-based games.
Really?
There's
so many.
I know. I just love monsters but like, okay, more specifically, cute horror. This is the genre that's not big enough. I want the two things that I love, adorable things and scary things, to come together and to be their own genre. Like even Silicon Vania, but it's not really cute. Like I want something that's cute. Like Monsters on Board, I think is kind of cute.
I mean, for me, I've already kind of talked about this. I really want an open world Zelda IP game.
Yeah.
That would be the one for me. But if we're not talking IP themed stuff, I just like really weird and kooky games now. Like that's why like games like Freedom Freeze games are really high on my list right now, because I just like that weird oddness to it. Cosmic Frog, another one. Like, I just want people to be pushing the boundaries on theme a little bit. Like, you know, I'd love to see like a Battletoads game, like, because it's like this weird amalgamation of like reptiles and punch 'em ups. Like, I just that kind of Cosmic Frog is kind of like that, to be fair. But like, let's just get a little bit more weird with it. But I know that's a tough sell. I mean, people aren't necessarily drawn into that.
We like the weird stuff, though. I want more dinosaur games, always.
Sure.
Because really, like, what is there? Dinosaur Island, Dinogenics. There's, like, Jurassic.
Oh, there's probably a ton. Draftosaurus.
Okay, but I want more.
Sure.
Dodo's riding dinos. I guess there are a lot. Do you believe there's an overemphasis on winning in board games that takes away from the fun? Jeff and I used to be extremely competitive people, specifically with each other.
We still are.
We're competitive.
But not like we used to.
No. I think that, like, I honestly, at this point, there's no way I couldn't even care one iota less about winning a board game.
Yeah.
Like, I do not care. And I notice it to be such a thing now when we play with people who really care about winning. It is a detractor for me when I'm playing with somebody who really wants to win. I'm just like, it makes it so much less fun. Like, it doesn't allow you to try new things. And
I think I want to say a couple things, because there's something I need to identify about myself. What I think the problem is the people that really want to win, and they're so focused on winning that they actually then deter from the experience of everyone else, because they're rules checking everyone. And they're like, well, you shouldn't have scored that because of this. And it's like, it ruins the game.
Yeah.
I get very competitive playing like Root with my friends. Like Max, Doolin, Sam. Like, I'll get very competitive with them. But they're my inner circle friends.
Yeah.
And I think that's okay. But I agree with Jamie. Like, if I'm at a convention or if I'm playing a game with strangers and they're like, all they want to do is win, I'm immediately out. Because in that environment, I don't care. I don't care about winning. I just want to play a fun game. Mm-hmm. And my issue is I grew up very competitive. So when someone's being overly competitive, that'll turn it on in me. Mm-hmm. And then I'm just like, oh, you're just being a dink. And I'm like, oh, I'm solely focused on beating you because you're being a dink.
Yeah.
Like, I think you can tie over-competitiveness to a lot of the problems that exist in a lot of different genres of games.
Mm-hmm.
Over-competitiveness leads to quarterbacking in co-op games. Over-competitiveness leads to rules checkers. Over-competitiveness leads to, like, cheating and all of this nonsense that just doesn't need to exist. It's why we always say we're about the experience around the table, more so than necessarily the game that's in front of people.
Which I know, like, there's so many people that are like, the whole point of playing a board game is, like, somebody's got to win.
Sure.
And it's like, somebody's got to win. It's not like I'm not trying to win. Of course, I'm always going to, like, do my best and stuff, but I just don't care. And I wish that more people wouldn't care because, like, we've all been there. We've played games with people who get upset if you attack them.
Yeah.
Or they get upset if you've done something wrong, or they do something wrong.
Or they didn't take a perfect optimized turn.
The optimized
like,
turn.
Like, who cares, man?
None of it matters.
It's
heart surgery.
It's a fine line between being competitive and wanting to win the game, which is correct. That's what the point of games is. But then it's taking it to the whole next level where only what you care about is winning the game. Mm-hmm. There are people, and lots of them, that only care about winning. Yeah. That's it. They don't care about the theme. They don't care about the mechanisms. They just want to beat you at the game. And that's the problem. Because those are the uber aggressive people that deter from winning a game. And again, it doesn't matter. You're adults playing with toys. Yeah. Like, let's all take a step back, experience the game together, try to win, but not get so tied up in winning the game that it's just becoming terrible.
Yeah. And I think, like, that was the last question, but I do think that this, like, it does tie in overall to something that, you know, we've said it in previous videos. We get comments, stupid comments on our videos, as many people who create content do, where people will, like, nitpick a little rule mistake, or they'll say something like I mentioned before, like, oh, you don't like this game? Well, I don't like you. Yeah. And it's just like, man, everybody just needs to calm down. Because as we always say, we've said it numerous times, none of this matters. If somebody likes a game and you don't like it, doesn't matter. Nothing matters.
It's interesting because, like, the people that get so crazy about, like, to Jamie's point, like, watching us, we're not doing a how to play video. We've had people comment on Jamie panning over a game and being like, oh, you have it set up wrong. We didn't in that instance. But, like, even just Jamie panning over a game, they'll be like, oh, they'll, like, pause it and be like, oh, this is set up wrong. And it's just like, calm down.
You can, like, just keep that inside your head.
People get so focused on rules checking that even, like, designers of games get these things wrong. Like, the people that even produce these games will play a game on a stream and be like, oops, I screwed that up. So if they're okay with it, why are you getting so angry about it?
It's such a good point.
It's fine.
Like, now we both work for board game publishers, and obviously, like, I play Final Girl all the time, and I mess things up all the time. It's my most played game, but I'll still make mistakes, and I talk to the team about it, and obviously, like, AJ and Evan created Final Girl, and AJ will be like, I mess that up all the time. Mm-hmm. He's like, we mess that stuff up all the time. It's not like you have a walking imprint of your rule book stuck in your head, and sometimes, like, I don't know, we're cool to make a mistake, and if we realize, like, halfway through the game, we're like, oh, we'll just play it right from now on. Yeah. Doesn't matter.
We are human beings. We make mistakes.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
It's okay.
And if you are 100%, I need to play everything perfectly, that's fine. It goes back to the conversation. That's how you experience the hobby, and that's okay. Mm-hmm. But not everybody cares about the things that you care about. Mm-hmm. So don't pretend like they do, and don't act like they do, just like we wouldn't. Like, again, we're sitting here being like, hey, we don't care if we make rules mistakes. But we're not going to force that on you. No. We're not going to go to you and say, like, oh, you only care about the rules?
You idiot.
Well, you're an idiot. Like, we'll never do that. It's fine. Experience the hobby how you want to experience it, but just let
And
everyone
let
else
other people do that
do it
too.
also.
Yeah.
Like, stop yucking people's yums.
Don't be a yum yucker.
There's no specific way to experience this hobby. Everyone experiences it in their own way with the games they love and the people they love and the way they want to love it, and that's fine.
That's fine. Totally. So that's our ranty video.
Yeah.
Because,
That's about as spicy as you're going to get from us.
Yeah. And I think every now and then it's just important to say some of these things.
Yep.
It just is. Just be nice to each other.
Yeah.
That's the
Be
moral of
kind.
the story. Be
Just
nice
be
to each
kind
other.
to people.
Yeah.
You know,
Exactly.
the world's tough enough as it is. We don't
Yeah.
need to make this board game hobby tough, too.
Exactly.
People come here to escape the craziness of the world.
Yeah.
They do these things to escape nonsense, and then we bring nonsense in, and it's like, why are we doing this?
Why we do that? Oh, I just spit
Oh, wow,
everywhere.
that was a lot.
It
Remember
came
when I
over
drove?
this. Oh my god! Jeff was putting together a light, and he was just like looking down. It was just like
Okay.
so much drool. I was
Easy.
like, ugh,
Alright.
gross. Anyways, that is everything that we have for you today. We'd love to know some of your unpopular opinions from the questions that we have down below. But as always, just keep it kind, keep it cool, and
Mhm.
remember, nothing matters.
None of this matters.
None of this matters.
We are adults playing with toys.
Yeah, and what do we know?
Yeah.
Nothing. We're just a couple of people
Yeah.
living in the world. If you're interested in buying board games, like some of the ones that we talked about today, or any that maybe you even see in our background, you should first start by checking your friendly local gaming store. And for us, that is...
The Boardroom Game Cafe.
Yep, and if you like what you see,
Please
we
subscribe.
hope to see you again soon. And now we say goodbye.
Later
Goodbye.
it is.
No, that's what I'm saying. Hate is a strong word. This is a popular game that everyone else seems to not enjoy, but we love.
Yeah, so why'd you point to that one?
Because,
We don't love that one.
oh yeah, you're right. I forgot.
I was like, that
I
would be
forgot
for
what we were
that
doing.
would be for the first one.
The next one. Ooh, the camera's getting hot.